Andrew Trudeau was born in 1924. He lived up the lake since he was 3 years old, on one of 30,000 islands near Sans Souci on Georgian Bay. Andy was a waterman who lived a life of vast experience. With no formal education, Andy was schooled by life of the lakes. A veteran, a boat builder, a trapper and fisherman. Nothing held him back. Youngest of 12, his role as a boy was to put food on the table. He spent his days helping his mother or out fishing and setting traps. He raised his family as he was raised, on a homestead situated on the outer islands of Georgian Bay. After 83 years living up the lakes, Andy moved to the Hillcrest nursing home in nearby Midland. In the last years of his life, he started drawing and produced a profound collection of imagery inspired by life up the lakes. Life in Sans Souci gave Andy much to reflect back on. He illustrates his innermost reflections of a life lived on the outer islands in his drawings. Andy imagined a world where people, animals, and geography all intertwined in daily life. Images of boats, float planes, scoots. A resident at Hillcrest once asked Andy what a scoot was. Andy thought if he could draw it on paper, it would help explain what it was. Because of its vital role in transportation, in most cases handcrafted by the owner, the scoot has a special place in the hearts of shore people. Andy often depicted wings on his scoots in his drawings. He could imagine building a flying scoot. With his pencil in his hand, his imagination sailed. Shore folks would gather at the annual scoot race in Penetangmachine. In March 1949, showing a fine disrespect for the laws of gravity plus some skillful handling, Andy hit a hummock and launched his scoot 5 feet off the ice. He also won the race, completing the 7-mile distance in less than 6.5 minutes and reached close to 100 miles per hour. The Trudeau ancestors settled on an island homestead in Spider Bay in the 1920s. Descendants of Jean-Baptiste and Angélique Trudeau, who voyaged from Drummond Island to Penetangmachine during the Métis migration of 1828. The Trudeau family are part of the historic Métis Georgian Bay community, living among the 30,000 islands, passing along the teachings of hunting and fishing and building for generations. There are no roads to Spider Bay. The only access is by water. Andy would draw these images at a time in his life when his hands were severely crippled, weathered and waterlogged and shaped by toils of his labor. Putting pencil to paper, his patience and determination that he would lean into up the lakes had a newfound vehicle to express flight. Famous for his fish stories, only one other person could outfish Andrew Trudeau. Patricia McMillan, the catch of his life. They married and together they started the Manitou Marina, dedicating their lives to serving cottagers and visitors to the area. For the rest of Andy's life, Pat would fill his day with joy and company. Loving companions who shared a long life up the lakes, providing for their family, another generation raised among the islands, on those waters that provided for them. Andy's drawings depict communities of animals, each sovereign in its own being. Often sketched with humor, the subjects in the drawings are vibrant with expression. The picture space he creates is one where people, animals, birds, and fish live with equal presence. Their size is determined by their importance in the story being told. Andy's use of color evokes the richness of chromacy of a rising sun over the waters of Spider Bay. Painted with the golden brush of a new day. His knowledge of the wild ones of the waters of Spider Bay was deep and thorough. The time he spent alone in the back bays and inner lagoons on those reflective waters. His affection for the animals, the fish, and for the birds, to be out swimming among them. In those late years of his life, their images lived and breathed within his mind. And he saw in the animals the same familial bonds that people shared. He knew they knew something about how to live well together up the lakes.